I never thought I was young because I've always thought I lived in the timelessness. I knew what I wanted to do.
The Springfield Museum of Art has been so honored to be the first stop on the tour for Aminah Robinson, Journeys Home, a Visual Memoir. So this opportunity came to us through the Columbus Museum of Art and through the Art Bridges Foundation.
As an artist, Aminah was unconventional. She found art in every aspect of her life. She could walk down the street and pick up a leaf and see the beauty.
Aminah Robinson holds a central place in our community here in Columbus, and especially at the Columbus Museum of Art. When Aminah passed away in 2015, she entrusted her life's work to the museum, and now we're fortunate to be stewards of her home studio, her archives, all of the work that remained, as well as her writings and her library.
The title of this exhibition, Aminah Robinson, Journeys Home, a Visual Memoir, is a perfect title for this exhibition. Aminah's work focused so much on exploring her history, her past, her communities, her family's histories. And the way that she communicates to the world is through her works of art.
I would describe her as regal, yet humble, as deeply thoughtful, but also engaging, as a genius who recognized the genius in others, as someone who lived in the moment and was ahead of her time.
So the 4 different sections were childhood home, and then ancestral home, and then spiritual home, and journeys home. And Deirdre organized artworks that she felt belonged in each of those sections. The really big Raganon pieces, the panoramic pieces, I really wanted on our most visible wall. And so it was a lot of moving pieces around and trying to understand how to tell the story and keep things in some chronological order.
We had an opportunity through Art Bridges Foundation to create an exhibition based on works that were in our permanent collection. And Aminah Robinson's works rose to the surface as the first idea. So instead of 240 works, we have 60 works. And 60 works come out of our permanent collection. This we decided to create about home, her search for home in every aspect of her life.
Because of the value of the work and the delicateness of the work, we are working closely with Columbus Museum of Art and their courier, making sure that the work is handled carefully, uncrated exactly as it needs to be, and recrated. Aminah's work is a really important part because she made work for 7 decades, and her work is so deeply rooted in African storytelling and ideas around community, ideas around resourcefulness and scrappiness and resilience, and I think their stories need to be told.
Robinson's art, rooted in history and storytelling, offers a powerful entry point for engaging younger audiences.
Where Aminah started, she really does credit her early upbringing in Poindexter Village, which was a publicly funded housing complex, one of the first of its kind in Columbus, Ohio. So some of her early influence as far as her art making came from her family and from the Poindexter Village community in Columbus, Ohio.
She was an artist, but didn't see herself as an artist. She said, "I'm just walking through life. I just walk." She enveloped her community, and she became her community, and when she expressed it in her art and in her writing, we knew she was ahead of her time. She did 7 decades of work. We did not know how important what she was doing then would be to us now, but she knew, because she also created her future for us to be able to live in.
I recall hearing an interview where she talked about how she had spent a lot of time in the public library and even worked in the public library for a while, and she became absolutely mesmerized by maps. I don't know, sort of a bird's eye view, looking over a streetscape or a city or something like that. So paying attention to all those signs and the people that she sees on the streets, I think is really fascinating and definitely very Aminah.
When Aminah traveled, she was known to have an intention. She would learn the language before she left in order to be able to communicate with the people she would encounter. When she would go into the spaces, she would sit in the quarters outside. She would just become part of the community. She had gone to Egypt, she had gone to Africa, but in this particular case, she was in the Middle East. She was in Jerusalem, Herzliya, and she sat in the quarters and watched the people, the diversity of the people.
I think there's such a strong sense of community, which I think is tends to be such an important part of African American culture, but she radiates that sensibility, and I think that's really evident.
Aminah was such an inspiring presence. She really is a larger-than-life presence, and you would feel that when she would come into the museum and you'd have the opportunity to meet her. As part of this exhibition, A Street Called Home, that piece I walk by every day in Columbus, is here, and it's highlighted at the Springfield Museum of Art.
I think she would be so humbled and proud, but not proud in a haughty way at all. She would have believed that a dream of hers had come true. Something she set intention upon actually came to life. And her whole life was about nurturing others, nurturing community, giving voice to all of humanity, not just one group, not just one race, creed, color, none of that. She was about bringing people together, uplifting people, giving voice to people. And I think she believed, and it's true that her art did that. And the fact that she could continue that legacy through this project, I think she would be very, very happy.